little bit. Okay, for those of you who are tuning in live to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, just know that this is a radio show. So we have 4 segments that we need to record, and they're hard outs. There will be interruptions. Even when it started getting juicy, time out. We need to stop. But the good news is it's not just the on-the-air conversations, it's the on and off-the-air conversations that you get to be a part of. If you have any questions for my guest today, Kimberly Shelpman, you're welcome to write it down on the comment section, and that way we can have a really great class today. So today we're going to talk about Ayurveda and the clock. There's a clock, the circadian clock, that leads to optimal health. And so fasten your seatbelt because we are going to learn and grow together. Remember, we're about to get muted, but once you hear that music, it is time to dance. You ready? Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in to the Lillian McDermott radio show since 2011, or maybe you just tuned in yesterday for the first time, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. But if this is the first time that someone said, hey, you got to tune in, or it's the first time you're watching the show live, just know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. And it is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life that you were created to live. No longer is anybody else living your life. And here's the deal. We don't know what we don't know. And I've said this so many times on the show. And because of a suggestion from a viewing friend, as a matter of fact, it was on when I started Facebook Live, they said, hey, when are you going to start doing shows on Ayurveda? So we reached out and we said, okay, who's the one that is one of the best people to reach out to? And we ended up reaching out to Dr. Suhas Kshirsagar, who wrote the Hot Belly Diet and Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. And we did that show. Well, when the student is ready, the teachers appear. And of course, keeping the theme with the classroom, my daughter-in-law knows Kimberly. She is a practitioner. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner. And I said, well, before you come on the show, I need to see that you are good. Well, let me tell you, she is good. And she's going to be doing a retreat that we're going to be talking about later off the air. We're going to talk about it because I don't want to stamp this because I want all of us to continue learning and growing with Kimberly. And she is the owner of Healing Elements Ayurveda. Her name is Kimberly Shelpman, and she is here to teach us about what is it that we can do throughout the day that will embrace the kind of life that we want to achieve. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Kimberly Shelpman is here to do just that. Welcome, Kimberly, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here with you and your listeners today talking about Ayurveda.
And our viewers too. So for those of you who are tuning in at Lillian's radio show, make sure you invite everybody on Facebook to watch live this beautiful woman inside and out. So share a little bit about yourself, Kimberly, and what led you to find Ayurveda.
Sure. So I opened Healing Elements in December of this past year, but I really began my personal journey with Ayurveda in 2014. I had some health issues going on myself at the time, just atypical cells that were actually in my breasts, and I was having to go in for multiple biopsies and lumpectomies, all while still being in my 20s.
Wow.
Some family members as well were also having some health issues going on at the time and just weren't getting all the answers that we were necessarily looking for just through Western medicine alone. So I just knew that there had to be more. And I had heard about Ayurveda through my yoga practice, which I had been doing for some time. And the more I heard about Ayurveda, though, the more I was intrigued by it. I began to do a lot of research and found that there happened to be an Ayurveda school that was near me that was having an open house just around the same time. So I thought, what do I have to lose? Let me just check it out. And that school was the Southern California University of Health Sciences in the Los Angeles area where I was living at the time. So after going to that open house and meeting some of my dear mentors, Dr. Anu and Dr. Jay out in California, I just had this overwhelming sense of that's where I needed to be. So I enrolled in the program that same day. And who knows, maybe Ayurveda found me at the time. It certainly came into my life at the right time. It was my Saturn return. I was going through career changes, relationship changes, just my whole world was turned upside down basically, and ready to be rebuilt and reshaped. And I'm certainly not the same person I was before then, that's for sure. And since then, I've devoted my life to Ayurveda, working as a practitioner and being an advocate and a student always. Last year, I spent about a month in India as well, doing some additional training in Kerala, which is in South India. It's the main hub for Ayurveda there. And I'm constantly learning every day from my clients.
Very good, very good. And so for those of you who are tuning in today, we're going to learn about this clock that is part of everybody's talking about now. There was even a person who received an award for discovering science in this clock, the circadian clock that the Ayurvedic healing people have been working with for 5,000 years. And we're going to continue our conversation with Kimberly Shelpman when we return worldwide. And now make sure you tell all your friends. Join us live at Lillian's radio show on Facebook. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyoumedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Right here waiting for you.
Okay, so thank you, Daniel, for letting us know that Kimberly is amazing. So thank you, Daniel, and I'm hoping that for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, if you have a question for Kimberly, that you can ask it right there in the comments section. If it's private, just let me know. You can send me a text and let me know you sent me or you could just text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And you can just text me your questions for Kimberly. And so, and also let us know. I see that you guys are there. Unless you make a comment or send us some love, we don't know who's out there. So make sure you let us know where you're from. Now, Kimberly is in India Atlantic in Florida. And let me tell you, I just recently had a massage. The what?
Satellite Beach, actually.
The what?
Satellite Beach.
Satellite Beach.
Yes.
Why did I think of the Atlantic?
Okay.
Well, okay, Satellite Beach. You know what? I was born in Satellite Beach.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Satellite Beach. And it is a beautiful location. She just opened it and she would love for you to check it out. And so for people who would like to get a hold of you, Kimberly, what's a good number that they could call?
321-600-4560. That's the
645-60. So 321-600-4560. Now, what was the massage that I ended up getting while I was there?
We did an Abhyanga, which is a traditional Ayurvedic massage with warm medicated oil, an oil called Maharani, and that balances all three doshas, which I think we'll talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we did a little bit more of an integrative treatment, used some cups on you as well, which really stimulate circulation to certain areas, help to release muscle tension. And we also did a Shirodhara. So you got to experience quite a few different therapies there.
Is that something that you do? Did you do that for me because it was like a little sampler platter, or do you do what?
It was a little sampler, but I sometimes do an integrative treatment where I'll combine it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. There we go. Okay, here we go. So we're about to get muted and we're going to start segment 2 for the radio. And then we'll do, and anybody who has a question, you're welcome to ask. Okay. And then we'll address it next one. Okay, here we go. We're about to get.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, where we always learn and grow together. Today's teacher is Kimberly Shelpman, and she is a Ayurvedic practitioner in Satellite Beach, Florida. And she's going to be doing a retreat pretty soon. You're going to have to tune in to either my website at whenyouneedafriend.com or facebook.com/Lillian's radio show to learn more of the dates. And we'll tell you those dates whenever we're off the air. Because I just want to make sure that we could use this audio in the future as many times as we possibly can, because the information that we're going to share today is educational. And so therefore, it'll always be. So Kimberly, thank you so much for not only sharing what Ayurveda is all about, but for also being so generous and sharing with me and for me to experience the different modalities, the different kinds of therapies that you offer at your place called Healing Elements Ayurveda. It's a beautiful studio, and I'm looking forward to spending some time, 3 days with you, learning and growing about and how to cook and all that. But we'll talk about that later. So let's talk about the doshas, because that was one of the things that when I was learning a little bit more, and I tried this in 2015 about Ayurveda, but I wasn't ready. And I really do believe that this healing modality was the missing link for me to kind of put the pieces all together. There was a puzzle piece missing, and that was that one. So let's talk about Ayurveda and the principles or the philosophy that guides the practice.
Okay, sure. So picking up where Dr. Suhas left off when he was talking about circadian rhythm. So there's a rhythm and there's a flow to nature. It's all about these cycles. We have cycles to the day, cycles of the months, there's the cycles of the seasons, even cycles of our lives on a broader scale. Mm-hmm. Nature is within us. We are linked to it. There's no separateness from ourselves and from the planet. Also with each other, because how we treat others is a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And Ayurveda views us as being a microcosm, a reflection of the macrocosm universe. And there's 3 subtle energies which make up everything that is naturally occurring in the universe, which are known as doshas. Mm-hmm. These doshas are made up of the 5 elements, which are known as Pancha Mahabhutas. These are air, space, fire, earth, and water. And Vata dosha, that is the air and space principle. And its qualities are that it's rough and it's dry, it's light, it's cold, it's mobile, and it accumulates more in the fall season. And you can see it's happening in nature as well. The leaves will begin to dry, change color, the weather cools down a bit, the winds pick up, and Vata dosha is responsible for all movement in our bodies as well. So it sends electrical impulses to the brain, it keeps the heart pumping, elimination of waste, any kind of outward movements and so on, any kind of movement with the body, and any kind of space, because we need space for the organs to exist. So there needs to be a certain amount of air and space principle to our bodies. Pitta is the fire and water principle, and its qualities are that it's sharp, that it's light, it's oily, it's hot, it's more acidic, and it gets accumulated more in the summertime, as you can imagine. It's responsible for digestion, for all change and transformation in the body, assimilation and absorption of nutrients via the small intestines. It's all bile secretions, hormonal secretions, and some of its main locations are that it's in the liver and in the blood. Okay. And the third dosha is called kapha, and that's the earth and water principle. And its qualities are that it's heavy, that it's slow, that it's unctuous, it's smooth, it's soft, it's stable, and it accumulates more in the springtime. So it's a little more elevated right now at this time of the year because we are in the spring season, and it can manifest as sinus congestion, phlegm, allergies, any kind of colds or feeling of sluggishness, depression, weight gain, things like that. So kapha itself, how it relates to the body, it's kind of like the glue that holds the body together. It's our connective tissues, it's our adipose tissue, because we need a healthy amount of fat to give strength to and just support all the major organs of the body.
Okay. Now, but with that in, okay, are you done, or you need to continue?
Oh, I was just gonna continue a little bit more. Just so right. In Ayurveda, we balance these doshas with the opposite qualities of in our foods, in our lifestyle activities, and in our choices. So we'll use kapha, for example, since it's kapha season, because its qualities are that it's heavy and it's soft and it's slow. We'll want to avoid a lot of heavy foods like have a lot of dairy. That's very important. Any kind of heavy fried fruits, bananas, coconut, things that are heavy in nature like that, because it just can have a tendency to create more of that phlegm and congestion if there's already a kapha imbalance. So instead, we favor the opposite. So we want to do things that are light, that are easy to digest, warm cooked foods, little stir fries, khichiris, pungent herbs like ginger, cinnamon. So that's a major viewpoint in Ayurveda, is that like increases like, and opposites, they balance.
Okay, so how do you discover what each one of us is? Because when we don't really know Pitta and Vata and Kapha, it just becomes just, just this mushy type of thing. You know what you're talking about. But do you have a test that you have people do? Because that's what you did with me. Yeah. How do we know what we are, and what is the like and what is the unlike?
Sure. So first off, we're a combination of all three of these doshas. There just always happens to be one that is more dominant within ourselves, always one that is strongest, and that tends to go out of balance easiest because we often crave more of what we are. It makes us feel good. It's what we know, but it can go out of balance easier that way. But what you can do to find your dosha, there's any number of dosha questionnaires that you can find online, and getting in touch with me anytime, calling, and I can more than happy to help you with a dosha questionnaire.
Yeah. So then once you discover what your preference is, then do you use that to kind of balance out the body, or how do you know your dosha is out of balance?
Well, with kapha dosha, as I was explaining, we already kapha individuals tend to have more congestion, weight gain, things of that nature. Pitta tends to have a little bit more hyperacidity, high blood pressure issues, skin issues. Vata can have dry skin, any kind of dryness of the joints, osteoarthritis, any kind of tremors, things like of this nature as well. That's the constantly moving. So these are the kind of things that tend to go out of balance when something's actually present. Yeah, but we can address things living in if we have a diet that's in accordance with our dosha, we can usually rebalance things before we get to that point.
Yeah, and so that's what you did with me. You gave me, because apparently I have a preference to pitta.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not pita bread, it's the pitta, Pitta, and yeah. I got the food list. But even with the food list that I received, there's still, you're saying that this is, generally foods to avoid, foods to embrace. The foods to avoid, will they cause an imbalance in me because those are more like than not like? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So because you're already pitta predominant, having foods that also have those qualities, like for instance, pittas are the fire types, end up being a little bit more fiery, type A, and sometimes tend to like spicy foods and things like this.
Yes.
Love coffee, just in general. So, and these are the types of things, like coffee doesn't necessarily love pitta, it aggravates. So we balance that out with the opposite qualities, like coconut and mint and aloe and leafy greens, things that are the opposite quality.
So if somebody right now is having like a breakout, are you saying they're more inclined to be pitta because of the time of year it is?
Well, pitta dosha is definitely very predominant with the skin, but there are other, there can also be skin issues with kapha and vata as well. Like it's a little bit more complex, but in general, pitta controls the skin and is seen more with pitta imbalances. During the summertime, you might have a little bit more breakouts due to that. So that's quite common.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so today what I really want to, because we could do a whole show every day for the week to talk about the different doshas. But what I wanted, and I think that is everybody, when we look at the circadian clock, and we're going to talk about what would be like the optimal, if we wanted to have a schedule that we embrace. What would that look like? And does this apply to everybody across the board, regardless of your dosha?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, just to touch base on how the doshas actually relate to the cycles of the day, it's actually really important into to really understanding an optimal Ayurvedic daily routine, which is known as dinacharya. But so ideally, we'll want to wake up at the same time every day, which should be by 6 a.m. When the sun begins to rise, so should we. And between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., that's the vata time of day, which is the time for active dreaming, REM sleep, when the brain can really express itself creatively. So if we get ourselves in the habit of waking up during this time, we'll have a greater sense of energy and creativity that'll really take us throughout the day. It's also the best time for meditation. I'm sure some of you may have experienced that if you sleep in more, you actually feel more tired.
Yeah.
It's because that's the kapha time of day, which is from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's ruled by kapha dosha. And we already know that kapha dosha is a little more heavy and sluggish. So this is a good time to be calm and slow and go through your morning routine, which we'll go over, have a light breakfast, and just start the beginning of your work day. The pitta time starts from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this is the time, which is really the most active time of the day in terms of productivity, where we should be completing the bulk of our challenging work that we have to do. This is when we should be having our biggest meal of the day, because that's when our agni, our digestive fire, is at its strongest. And we need more energy to really take us through the rest of the day. from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the Vata time again, and that's where we might feel the most alert and creative, and it's a good time for tackling for problems, designing any kind of projects. And from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is the Kapha time of day, when it's just really more about relaxing, spending time with family, and that's kind of how the doshas relate to that clock.
Okay. Very, very good. Very good. And so then I think that we go from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and that's the healing time. That's when that's when the scrubbing bubbles come out and work hard so you don't have to. And that falls in line with our circadian clock. And we're going to continue our conversation with Kimberly Shelpman, Ayurvedic practitioner. And we're going to bring also Liberty Health Share in when we return. Worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
Okay. We have someone new joining us, and I didn't know if your father was going to join us today, but is it Matthew or Matt? How would you like?
You can call me Matthew. That's totally fine.
Matthew. Okay, Matthew. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited that you're joining us. So we're talking today. Usually I send your dad, Dale Bellis. I send him the topic for today. So I just want to share, we're talking about Ayurveda. Are you familiar with Ayurveda?
I'm not actually. No, that's new for me.
Okay, so we're talking, welcome to Matthew Bellis to the show. This is the first time he's filling in his father's shoes and following after him. So we'll talk a little bit with him and in a little bit. So right now, let's continue. Kimberly, you have some questions. And Daniel wants for you to share about, can the doshas change over time, or is it always consistent?
So our dosha, our prakriti, which our natural state is, that's determined at the time of conception. So that doesn't change, but we have all these doshas within us and their dynamic energies. So they change in accordance with our lifestyles, foods that we eat, seasons. So they're constantly changing, but our true nature is not.
Got it. Okay. And so with this circadian clock, what I'd like to do is when we go back on the air is basically talk about how this clock determines. Now you talked about, when you're talking about 10 and 2, did you mention that that's the time where we need to eat the heaviest? Or what is the time that we need to eat the heaviest?
Between that time, in fact, noon would be ideal. Noon, 1 o'clock, that's the time when we should be having our heaviest meal of the day. That's when our digestion's the strongest, metabolism's the strongest, and it keeps us going for the rest of the day.
Okay, and we eat later at night. Traditionally, and then we go to parties and we eat even later at night. What does that do to our body?
Well, our digestion is a little bit weaker. It's not as strong at that time, and so the food's sitting there, it's having some stagnation, it's not going to process, we're going to be going to sleep, it's going to create a certain amount of toxins, metabolic waste that will accumulate in the gut.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about that when we go back on the air. Matt, I just want to make sure that your mic, I just want to make sure that you know that at the beginning we get muted. Oh, we're muted now. Okay, hold on a second.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show /classroom, where we always learn together. And our teacher today is Kimberly Shelpman, and she is the Ayurvedic practitioner. and absolutely fell in love with her when I was introduced to her, and she shared with me some of her modalities that she uses, her healing modalities that just create something. I'm telling you, for those of you who have ever done this or maybe never have done this, when she was doing, and I'll have her talk about the massage that she gave me in a little bit, but when she was around my arm, I thought, I remember this in Egypt. This happened to me in Egypt. Well, that would be okay if I've been to Egypt, but I've never been to Egypt, so I don't know what happened there. I said to Kimberly, Kimberly, I don't know what this is, but I experienced this in Egypt and I've never been there. So it was a great feeling and very healing. I really, truly enjoyed the experience. And you can too, because Kimberly's going to be doing a retreat soon. And I would want to encourage you to look into it. So the way you can do that is by reaching out and checking it out, being a subscriber, and which is what we do. We make sure that we learn and grow together. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. When you become a subscriber, you will get all the information that you're hearing today, how to contact people and how to reach out or learn more or what their websites are. And that you get every week. And then you also get the show sent to you. And so if you decide to become a subscriber of my YouTube channel, the same thing happens. The show will go to you. Excuse me. And so please make sure you support us through liking us and following us on social media. If you want to know when we're on Facebook Live, which we are on live right now, you are welcome to join us at Lillian's radio show. So let's be connected so that we can learn a new truth together. And while you're there, one of the things that I ask is that you check out my sponsors like Liberty Health Share. We're going to have Matthew on in a little bit. That's where you figure out how you can support my sponsors the way they're supporting the show. If it weren't for them, this show would not happen. So make sure you support them the way that they are supporting the show. And so if you'd like a podcast and that's the way you would rather listen to the show, we're in almost every podcast that you can imagine. You can go to there, or you can call me or text me at 407-373-5959. So today we're talking about Ayurveda and the clock, the circadian clock. So I want to encourage all of us to be mindful throughout the day. So while we're off the air, Kimberly talked about those time clocks. For the sake of time, excuse the pun, for the sake of time, I would love for you to share with us tips and how we can start changing our habits so that our life will be more balanced.
Sure. So first things first, waking up at the same time every day and at least by 6 a.m. is really ideal. Rise and shine with the light of the day, basically. And so that would be the optimal time, at least by 6 a.m. Vata types, 6 a.m. is ideal. They tend to need a little extra sleep. Pitta types, it's even better if you can try to wake up at 5:30, and for Kapha types, it's said 4:30 is actually the ideal time, which I know is very early, but Kapha needs a little bit more time, a little bit more sluggish, and that is actually the best time to wake up, the Brahma hour for meditation. But at least if you can wake up by 6 a.m., that's a good start. And so waking up in the morning at that time, first things first, really, if we can attend to our natural urges, do our elimination, and then scrape the tongue. Scraping the tongue is very important. This is, during the night, we actually expel toxins via our tongue. And so scraping the tongue, you might notice in the morning sometimes you have a little bit of film on the tongue. Yes. And so we want to scrape that off first thing before we drink water, before we brush our teeth, just so we're not absorbing some of that back into the body. So
and you talked about oil pulling as well. Is that, because we've heard of oil pulling, is that important when in the morning?
Yes, that's usually done in the morning. So scraping the tongue, then brushing the teeth, trying to do a natural toothpaste or like a neem, a powder, something like that. Washing the face and then doing the oil pulling, also known as gandusha. So basically it's taking some sesame oil or coconut oil and swishing it around in the mouth, not gargling, just more swishing it. And that's really good for the gum health, for the teeth. And that's another means of actually being able to pull some toxins and bacteria that are present in the mouth to be expelled. And so ideally we'll want to do about 10, 20 minutes of the oil pulling and then spit it out in the trash, not the sink. That's another important tip of advice.
Yeah, because it gets hard, right? If it's cold
it can clog the sink and all that.
Yeah. So you put it in the trash or not even the toilet?
No, I've just spit it outside maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So that, these are some of the things, and this is just a sampling of Ayurveda and what are some of the things that we can do in the morning. I know that I want to shift gears, and then after the show, we can continue speaking with Kimberly as well. But I want to switch gears because, these are the things that we do that create health. And as you know, the show is all about health. Ayurveda is one of those puzzle pieces that can help us achieve our optimum health. And there is an optimal health routine that we can follow. And that's what Kimberly's been talking about at this point. And throughout the day, and the heavier meals need to be earlier than in the evening. But these are the things that create some adjustments in our life. So Kimberly, after we talk with Matthew, I would love for us to talk about tips and how do we switch from the busyness of our day where we go home and we just want to veg and we start a new tradition so that we can set ourselves up for success, to be healthy enough to be able to even want to be with Liberty Health Share. So normally I say hello to Dale Bellis, but today I get to welcome the Director of Communications, or the Communications Director, Matthew Bellis of Liberty Health Share. So welcome to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, Matthew.
Thank you for having me, Lillian.
Yes, last time that Dale was on the show, he said that you were going to be joining us from now on and that he is just off doing wonderful things. So share a little bit about yourself, because we've fallen in love with Dale over the years that he's been on the show. So now I'd love to learn from you and what led you. I know that your father was a part of Liberty Health Share, but you don't have to embrace that, but you've embraced it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why it was that you were able to embrace Liberty Health Share for your life.
Well, actually, it started back in 2010, whenever Dale and I were actually talking about what was going on with the current healthcare crisis in this country. Mm-hmm. And he and I were chatting about it, and I said, what do we do with this? So many people are going to be struggling here in the near future for their healthcare. And he turned and said, we've lived as a family with the answer for so many years in small Christian communities out in the Midwest, that healthcare sharing has really been a huge benefit to us. And we just need to take that model and bring it to as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm a person that believes very much in personal freedoms and wants to make sure that other people are able to live in freedom as well. And I saw that as a huge opportunity. So over the next 4 or 5 years, we developed Liberty Health Share. We launched it. We worked on it, brought it to the public. And I've been there since the beginning, since the very word Liberty Health Share came in. He and I were collaborating on it. So I'm a good person to have around.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you decided that this is something that you wanted to join. Sometimes our children embrace what we believe in, and sometimes they reject what we believe in, and then they come back to it. Sometimes they do come back, sometimes they don't. So tell us, now that you are coming on the show and sharing a little bit more, is there any changes now that that Dale is not going to be with Liberty Health Share? I'm sure he's going to be doing special projects, but now that he's basically, handing the baton over to you, share a little bit about some of the changes.
sound pretty the same. So
You broke up right there. Can you share a little bit again?
Oh, I was just saying the public face will look a little younger, but it'll sound pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah. Yes. And how wonderful that you've had such a great role model. So I know that things are happening at Liberty Health Share, but what are some of the things that you'd like to share with us that are some of the changes that are taking place in the government that we need to become aware of our freedom?
Sure. There was a little bit of a ripple effect happening.
Hold on a second.
When it comes to the
hold on
mandate.
a second, Dale. Hold on a second, Dale. Dale. Matthew, I'm so used to calling you're
It's okay.
You're breaking up, but we're going to continue our conversation off the air. I want Matthew to share a little bit more, and we're going to continue this conversation. There's a little bit of a delay, and that's why I asked the question when I did. I apologize for that. But you can join us at Facebook Live at whenyouneedafriend.com or at Lillian's radio show. We'll be right here waiting for you worldwide.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
Okay, so Matthew, when you were talking, you kept pixelating. I don't know if it was me or if it was Matthew. I don't know, Robert, do you still have me? Are we still on?
I hear you fine. Matthew was pixelating.
Okay, very good. Okay, no problem, Matthew. So share a little bit more. I'm hoping that we can hear you now. Go ahead and share what you were saying before we got disconnected.
Sure. We've had a little bit of a change in the federal government when it comes to the individual
He's breaking up.
Teeth out of the ACA has been taken out. Am I still breaking up?
Yes, you did. You said what was the key? You said the key.
The individual mandate has been taken out of the federal government, and a lot of the state governments have started to implement individual mandates. That can hinder possibly some of the people within states of getting healthcare sharing working within their particular state. And so we're on the front lines making sure that those state governments are going to maintain them that people should be able to have within healthcare sharing.
Yes, yes. And you're breaking up a little bit. But what I'd like to do is when we go back on the air, perhaps maybe we can focus on, how affordable Liberty Health Share is. And because I just want to make sure that you share something. Let me see. Yeah, we're about to get started. Robert, why don't we get started? And that way.
Jump off and try and jump back on?
Sure. Why don't you do that? Do that?
Sounds great.
Okay, perfect. See, this is what happens when we are doing a live show. And you on Facebook Live, you get to see this stuff that doesn't happen on the air. Okay, so I just wanted to say, Jake, thank you so much for your comment. Ayurveda is truth. And, Kimberly, there's so many people that just don't understand what Ayurveda is, Ayurvedic lifestyle or is about. And so there's so many people that try it, like I've tried it, and it feels really, really comfortable and almost true. So that kind of resonated with me. Did you find the same thing happen to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. After all, Ayurveda is known as the science of life. So that's really what it's all about, living in accordance with nature and our own true natures. And it's liberation, finding out more about yourself, your body type, how your mind works. And it really starts to guide the choices that you make. You start thinking about things differently. You start becoming more accepting of others as well.
Yes, and we're about to be muted. Matthew, did we get the microphone okay?
Hopefully I'll be a little bit better, not as choppy.
Okay, great. Okay, when we go back.
When you need a friend, you can count on me.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show /classroom. And by the way, Matthew, I misspelled freedom because I was hitting the send button before I was able to do that. But we have Kimberly Shelpman from Healing Elements Ayurveda. And we also have Matthew Bellis of Liberty Health Share. And for those of you who have heard me talk about Liberty Health Share, I love Liberty Health Share. It's a different way of looking at our freedom and to choose, a freedom of choice, a freedom of information, and where we can decide where we go, how we go, and it is affordable. So let's talk about how we need to be aware that some of our freedoms are being taken away, especially now with the vaccination scares, and whether you're anti-vax or for vaccine, there's like this divide, and they're wanting to take our freedom away to choose. And you're out there defending us. So share a little bit more about that, Matthew, and how Liberty Health Share is protecting our freedom of choice.
Well, we wanted to unleash the biggest asset within healthcare, and that was the individual self-pay patient. It's the individual patient who is on the front lines meeting with their doctor, who is the one who is able to take care of their health care the best. And unfortunately, when it comes to policy measures, a lot of people seem to forget that. Mm-hmm. And especially when it comes to choosing what's right for you in your own health and health care, that's most important, because I'm sure, Lillian, you know how your body works best.
Yes. Yes.
And so we want to make sure that our members have the freedom of choice, decision to lead the healthy lives that they want to lead. We like to say more or less the health conscious lives, because we're not always healthy. Sometimes we get sick, get into accidents, things like that. But lead the health conscious lives that we want to lead. And whenever you have a system in place that respects the individual, has their choice of freedom available to them, they can choose the doctor that they want to work with, they can choose the treatments that they want to undergo, they're not beholden to a network or a system that is bogging them down with bureaucratic oversight. You have a lot of freedom and ability to make those personal choices that are so important to us.
Yes. And for those of you who want to learn more about Liberty Health Share, you can go to libertyhealthshare.org, or you can call them at 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. I am a member of Liberty Health Share. I've walked away from insurance a long time ago. Well, this will be my third year. And how is it, Matthew, that you guys keep, it's so affordable to be protected with Liberty Health Share?
Well, we've actually just taken the model that everybody has known when it comes to third-party payment systems, frankly, thrown it out the window. Yeah. Because that system is systematically broken. Mm-hmm. There's a problem there that a whole lot of people aren't necessarily recognizing. And so what we've done here is respected the individual. Frankly, we're all individual self-pay patients, individually responsible for our own care and our own medical bills. Mm-hmm. And whenever we go to the doctor, we have a doctor or hospital bill, that's when the community kicks in and helps during those times that are unexpected and unaffordable. So we have a group of individual self-pay patients who are then helped by the community. The benefit of that, the side benefit of that, is an affordability that you really can't get anywhere else. There's other things that we do to ensure it, but that's a long systematic conversation to have about actuarial projections and things. We don't do that, but we're very simple.
Absolutely. And so with Liberty Health Share, I want all of you to know that it is a truly Affordable Care Act. So it's exempt. So it's truly Affordable Care Act exempt. And you can choose the different, let's talk about the cost because we talk about how affordable it is,
Sure.
and it's $1 million per incident. So it's not something like, your aunt is going to pay for you whether she can afford it or not, or
Right.
this is a true system, the way that you guys have set it up for success. So let's talk about, if you are a single over the age of 30, the cost and what that looks like.
Sure. You're going to be paying every single month what we call a share amount. That share amount goes directly to another person in need. And so for our most comprehensive program, for, like you said, $1 million to take care of any kind of medical incident that comes up, you're going to be paying $299 per month. A couple would be paying $399 per month for their share amount, and a family of 3 or more would be paying $529 per month for their monthly share amount.
Yes. And then the out-of-pocket expenses, which most people, it's so exorbitant. It's like $5,000, $7,000. Let's talk about how you guys have been able to make it so affordable, and what that
Sure.
single, that double, and that family would pay for
Yep.
their out-of-pocket expense before Liberty Health Share takes over and helps out 100%.
Yeah, we call that our annual unshared amount. So just in the name, it's the amount of money that you pay before sharing begins within the community. So for a single, you would be paying $1,000 per year for your member year. After that $1,000 is paid, that's when the sharing begins. Whenever you have a couple, you pay $1,750, and for, again, that family of 3 or more, that's $2,250. I actually have a family of 5. I've got 3 kids of my own, and my wife and myself, and but Liberty Health Share looks at us as if we're only 3 people. So no matter how big the family, 3 or more, that $2,250.
Yes. And so keeping that in mind, and this is the compare and contrast, because Liberty Health Share is not insurance. The language that they speak is different. And so that's what I want to encourage all of you to be curious about, this language, to learn more, because I don't know of any of my friends who have insurance that their non-shared amount, AKA deductible, is that low. So as a single, I pay out of my pocket is $1,000 before it's shared, before my expenses are shared by Liberty Health Share. And I think that's amazing. That alone right there. And the fact that you guys encourage us to go wherever we want. So share a little bit about the philosophy and how Liberty Health Share is different than every other place where, if I want to go to a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, of course, you guys have your policies as well, the protocols that we need to follow.
Sure.
But let's talk about that and how you guys made that decision.
Yeah, so again, because we have a group of people who are individual self-pay patients, we don't put certain network restrictions on our members. And so if you go to the doctor or hospital and you have a particular one that you want to go to, we're not going to put a restriction on you as a member to say this is where you need to go. Frankly, I don't understand why it seems like to be such a novel concept to let people go to the doctor or hospital of their choice.
Yes.
But that's what we have here with Liberty Health Share. You're able to go to the doctor or hospital of your choice. As long as the doctor or hospital are okay with you being a healthcare sharing ministry member, then that's totally fine by us. We're not going to put that restriction on you. If you have certain things that you want to have treated, or you want to go through different procedures, you want to look into different methodologies, and we want you to be able to explore those things. Let that be something that you deal with your own health. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be back on your feet as quickly as possible, and we want you to be able to explore those options with as much freedom as possible. So Liberty Health Share, we're here to help you specifically in those times of need that are unexpected and unaffordable.
And I love Liberty Health Share. Thank you so much, Matthew. And I'm so excited to get to know you like I have met your Dale. And so that's libertyhealthshare.org. If you want to learn more, you can go to whenyounneedafriend.com. One of my sponsors is Liberty Health Share, as I told you before. You can click on there and it'll take you directly to their website as well. And so the number is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. I'm so grateful, Matthew, that you were able to come on and that we were able to figure out your IT issues there. So thank you. Thank you. And then
Thank
Kimberly, we're going to continue our conversations off the air. So join us at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show if you want to learn more about Ayurvedic lifestyle. Change your lifestyle, change your life. And thank you so much for both of you for being on the show today. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Oh.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so let's continue with our conversation. Let's talk about the retreat, what to expect at the retreat. I know we were just able to dip our toe. There was a lot to go through in a very short period of time, Kimberly. So thank you. I appreciate your patience. So let's talk about the retreat and what people should expect at your retreat and the date and all of that.
Sure. So it's the end of this month,
yes.
April 26th to 28th. It's a very exciting time. We'll be doing our first ever retreat and workshop series called Spring into Health. We'll start on Friday, April 26th at 4:30 p.m. just for an overview and presentation of all the wonderful Ayurvedic therapies and learn more about their benefits. Then at 5:30, we'll be doing a crystal bowl sound healing meditation and yin yoga class led by Ronnie Sullivan, who's an amazing yoga instructor with 20 years of experience as a physical therapist. So he's very, very knowledgeable in terms of anatomy, proper alignment, which is so important. And Maria Bonas, who is a Reiki master. And to know Maria is to love her because she has such a warm presence and healing energy. She just radiates love. So we're looking forward to a really amazing class with Maria and Ronnie, followed by an Indian dinner catered by Taste of India. Then on Saturday, April 27th at 10 a.m., we'll begin with a group Reiki healing experience that's led by Maria. And afterwards, I'll be teaching an Ayurvedic nutrition workshop and cooking class, all centered around balancing kapha for the spring season, which is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be plenty of delicious Ayurvedic foods to sample and recipes for you to take home. And in the afternoon, Maria and I will be available for integrative sessions. She'll be doing Reiki sessions for energetic, emotional healing, and I'll be doing Ayurvedic therapies as well. And that evening from 7 to 8, Rayananda and the Wandering Sadhus will be with us for a kirtan, also known as Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, for a devotional music program, which is going to be really beautiful. The cost of that is free, and all proceeds of that will go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. And on Sunday, April 28th, the last day, we'll start again at 10 a.m. with the second part of Maria's Reiki healing experience. And we'll also have a special guest, Dr. Laura Vassallo from Natural Approach Wellness Center in Melbourne. She'll be joining us to talk about Chinese medicine and to share a little bit of her clinical experience with us. Then we'll have a light lunch, and I'll give a talk on Ayurvedic skincare, and we're going to be giving ourselves Ayurvedic herbal facials, which will be a lot of fun, and it'll leave your skin feeling amazing. And in that afternoon, Dr. Laura, Maria, and myself will also be available for integrative sessions that day as well.
Now, if you decide to buy the entire package, there are some discounts for that, right?
Yes. So for the full weekend of all the workshops, it's $125, so there's a little bit of a discount. For the integrative sessions, it's additional. We just have a couple spots left on both days, so for that you'd have to give us a call or email.
Can you repeat that again? You said $125 for the entire weekend. I thought it was $500.
Well, that's including integrative therapies.
Let's talk about the integrative therapies and everything like that.
Yeah, so the integrative therapies will be doing Ayurvedic therapies, including Abhyanga, which is the traditional Ayurvedic massage, Shirodhara, Udvartana, which is a dry herbal powder massage. There'll be some acupuncture, cosmetic acupuncture, Reiki. So a combination of all those different modalities just to kind of fit a person's needs where they're at.
Okay. And so when you talk about cosmetic acupuncture, what is that?
So that is something that Dr. Laura will be doing. So it's acupuncture that actually helps to, that's good cosmetically for the skin, tighten fine lines as well. So some more cosmetic benefits.
Wow. Okay. And then, okay. So if you were to go to this retreat without the therapies, the other therapies, that's 125, you said?
Yes.
And that includes your lunch, your food?
And it's food is included. There's going to be a great Indian dinner Friday night, and then lunch provided on Saturday and Sunday.
Very good. That's very affordable. Yes. And then if you want the therapies, then that would be the extra for 525. Did you say?
Well, the extra price would be per day would be 125 each day for each additional therapy.
Got it. Okay. So that right there. And the address for those of you who are interested in learning more, you can contact Kimberly, and her number is 321-600-4560. Now, did I understand that you were going to do some yoga on the beach, if weather permitting?
Yes, well, our neighbors, Wicked Pineapple, right next door, they do yoga on the beach at 8 a.m. with acai bowls, and so that's going to be really great to check out. The program changed a little bit just for the retreat. Actually, it was originally planned where one of my friends and colleagues, Dr. Kwan, was to be bringing down some patients from New Jersey where he lives, but he had a family emergency last minute. And on that same day, I ended up meeting Dr. Laura at a marketing event, and she happened to be at the table right across from me. And I thought of her immediately, reached out, and she agreed to come on board and talk about a great reminder and trusting the universe. So she came on board, and so she'll be working doing the integrative therapies. So we'll have that as well.
That's great. Now let's talk about how Ayurveda helps depression, anxiety. What are some of because that's our body telling us there's something wrong. And so how does Ayurveda, the Ayurvedic therapies, how do you guys address those symptoms in the body?
Well, one of the best Ayurvedic therapies for depression, for stress, anxiety, for the central nervous system is actually therapy called Shirodhara. It's a warm medicated oil that is flowed over the third eye, and it targets the central nervous system. And it's a deeply relaxing, very meditative experience. And the medicated oil is an herb called Brahmi, which is also known as Bacopa, which is becoming very popular in the West right now as well. But that really targets the mind, stress, anxiety. And so doing this therapy is one of the really great things for depression, stress, anxiety. We might also integrate doing herbal care and some dietary changes as well.
Very good. And so with that in mind, you had mentioned that we were going to be eating on Friday night, and are we going to have something very light like khichdi, or which, by the way, I made my first khichdi. Oh, good. Yes, it was very good. I happen to have mung beans. Okay. They've been waiting there in my closet, and they were just like going, "Are you ever going to do anything with me?" And when I saw mung beans and I learned how to do it, I thought, "Wow, this is great!" And it turned out really well. We ate for many days with the khichdi because I made it. I think I doubled or tripled the batch because I like to do batch cooking. Yeah. And so let's talk about how do we switch from the Western mentality of eating at night, snacking at night, and the damage that it does to our body. And what are some of the tips to start integrating a heavier meal at lunch as opposed to at night?
Sure. Well, trying to do some meal prep, like we said, and it's about retraining ourselves, our bodies. We get so conditioned. But really, if we eat our bigger meal during the noontime, our digestion, our agni is so much stronger. So we'll be burning that energy. We'll be taking more nutrients. It'll carry us through the rest of the day. It's just a matter of changing your routine, reshaping things. And eating a lighter meal at dinner, it's not going to lead to so much sluggishness, heaviness, digestion, metabolic waste that are going to be building up, just because you're going to have more time to break that down, assimilate that.
Yeah, but if somebody's having a burger for lunch, and they're heavy, maybe fried foods or processed foods, will that help them to eat a heavier lunch? Because that may cause like symptoms that the body is just not happy about that kind of eating. So is there a particular thing that we should have like at lunch that you recommend?
A burger wouldn't be an ideal Ayurvedic lunch per se.
I know. Because that's where people get, like, after they have a heavy starch, heavy processed food lunch, they're ready to take a nap.
Sure. But if you're having a big lunch of, say, how about a big, nice bowl of pho with a lot of vegetables with some noodles, or a stir fry with a lot of vegetables, or you can do some kind of lean protein like a chicken, or having a bigger meal, a healthier meal, it won't necessarily make you feel as tired and sluggish after.
Yeah, especially if we make good, better choices for ourselves. Yeah. And especially if we figure out what our dosha is and we give the body what it needs.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot. I mean, look at all the stuff I can actually eat. This is just one of many pages. There's several pages. This is front and back. Look at that. My gosh, there's so much that I can eat. It's just a matter of figuring out what our preferences are and staying with that. So with that in mind, at night, other than khichdi, what are some of the things that we can have, and what is the recommended time in our clock to eat our last meal of the day?
Ideally, if we can eat our last meal of the day by 6 p.m., that's ideal. And other than khichdi, which of course is an Ayurvedic staple, doing different kinds of soups, a little bit of soup, doing rice and veggies, stir fry. I've made mung bean burgers before, which we'll be doing at the retreat, and there's really a lot of options when you get down to it. Doing you can do a little bit of a lean protein, maybe 4 ounces of chicken or fish, or something like that as well. So there really is a lot of options.
Okay, and so if we are at a party and the party is on at 8 o'clock, and what we do is we eat socially, how do you suggest we handle that?
Okay, so if you're going to be eating later, I would say you can balance it out maybe the next day a little bit to make sure that you don't carry out those activities the following day. Drinking some warm ginger tea, help with that digestion, help to aid that, and just balancing it out. Make sure we don't make that a habit if we can.
Yeah, but that was what Dr. Suhas was talking about on the show, that when the weekends or we start eating late at night, that's like the equivalent of flying like 3 different time zones. And it's like the jet lag of eating, and it just pushes our healing, our body from healing at the time that it needs to. So let's look at what happens when we start eating later. What is the suggested time that we should wait before we go to bed? And what happens when we do eat later before we go to bed?
So think of your body like a clock. So if you're going to wake up at a certain time, if you're going to eat at a certain time of the day, it's always going to function more optimally than if you're all over the place, like what we were talking about. If, like I was mentioning, if we can at least eat by 6:30 p.m. and go to bed at least by 10 p.m., that's really ideal. As we mentioned before, that's also the kapha time. So if we can get to sleep during this time, we'll also sleep more soundly than if we go to sleep a little bit later. We get more into that pitta time, which is all about our food processing, our thoughts of processing from the day before when our body's restoring itself. Mm-hmm. So we want to try to at least go to bed by 10 p.m.
Okay, and I want to help everybody out today because I'm looking at the clock and it's going to be 6:30 pretty soon, at least in Florida. And so for those of you who, and thank you, Daniel, yes, khichdi is very tasty. I loved making it, and I didn't even know what I was doing, but the instructions that I got from you, Kimberly, were very, very good. So,
many years of making khichdi and and tweaking it, and you can always make it different too. Saute whatever vegetables that you'd like. I've made khichdi wraps. There's many things that you can do to mix it up.
yes, it is. Is there anything that you would like to add before we go, and that you would like to share about Ayurvedic healing?
Well, I just thank you again for the opportunity to spread Ayurveda. It's my great passion. I believe in Ayurveda. There's a rhythm, there's a cycle for ourselves and nature. And when we start to plug in and tune into that, we have a freedom of really attaining a better health and quality of life. So it's been an honor to be here today.
Thank you. And it's been an honor. And thank you so much for the amazing massage and sampling of what the therapies that you provide. You definitely have a divine gift. And I know that I had never experienced anything like that. I called like 3 or 4 people on my way home going, you have got to experience this. And for those of you who want to experience this, you can call Kimberly at 321-600-4560. And she's in Satellite Beach, and it is a beautiful studio, and she has poured herself into it. And I just want to encourage all of you to reach out to Kimberly, let her know how grateful you were that she was on the show, that she took the time to be and explain. And this is just the beginning, because again, I feel that Ayurvedic healing was my missing puzzle piece, and I'm hoping that we could put it all together and all of us continue to grow. So thank you so much for coming on. And I want to, again, we have sponsors that are off the air sponsors, like Keep Me Safe Organics, which I just absolutely love. This is Keep Me Safe Organics. You can go onto the website, click on it, get 10% off your entire purchase by entering code Lily10. And we also have First Alternative Care for $35 for the entire household a month. You can get 24/7 care, telemedicine. And so this is when it's not an emergency, and you're like, I'm going to call in a little bit because I think I fractured a rib this weekend. And so I'm going to call them to see if they can check that out. But anyway, and also if you are in the Melbourne area or in the Merritt Island area, the pharmacy is just absolutely wonderful. Go there and tell them Lily sent you, and you'll get 20% off. So I just want to be able to give back to all of you who have joined us in any way that we possibly can. So thank you so much, Kimberly, for being on. And I'm looking forward to our weekend retreat and maybe many shows and explaining about Ayurveda. So for those of you who have tuned in, thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, George, for coming on. And everybody loves you, by the way, Kimberly. So everybody loves you. And so I want to thank you for explaining and just your amazing gift. So thank you so much for coming on today. And for those of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.